Okay, at this time, it's a pleasure to bring the stage the Vice President of Global Operations. How about a big round of applause, Mr. Chad O'Neill.
Hello, how is everyone? Okay, I'm going to try something new today. Everyone stand up. I want you to look to the person to your left and your right and give them a high five. Come on, high five. So, okay, now you can sit back down. Don't hurt anybody. I hear some stuff in the back. So there's a guy that I go to these conferences a lot, and it's great to listen to the presenters just like Ray. And there's this millennial presenter that asks everyone to do that every time. I don't know, did it make you feel more millennial? Did that work? Well, we'll try something else. Okay. Well, when I get up here, I usually say something like this in a room of operators. I usually say that people always ask me if I'm in IT. I don't have to tell this room that, no, I'm not. Lucky for you. You can ask Erkan and Vince Llewellyn. You definitely don't want me in a server room or a boiler room, for that matter. But I'm in operations, and I'm really excited to be here to talk to you today about the digital strategy and how we pull it through in operations. So if you look at the name of this conference, right, the theme of it, I mean, connecting with the power of the past and the force of the future. That's amazing. That's exactly what we're here to talk about today, is think about what we're rooted in our service and our culture, and how we're going to pull that through with the force of the future, which is mobile. And mobile is a massive force to be reckoned with. But first, before we get into that, we really need to understand our landscape and what environment we're working in. And our landscape is changing, right? We look at it, we talk a lot about the next generation of travelers, intermediary costs and OTAs, that's growing in all your hotels, and preferences at risk for our top customers. And our competitors and our OTAs are moving fast. So let's dig a little deeper. If you look at the next generation of travelers, we know that this Gen X and Gen Y traveler is going to make up 76% of your room nights in just a few years. They use technology 3 times more than our boomers, and they prefer, this is really scary, they prefer booking on OTAs 2 to 1 to the boomer population. And that plays right to the fact that our intermediary costs are growing. If you look at it, and you see this on your P&Ls, I'm sure that over the past decade, intermediary costs to OTAs have grown 300%. We went up $144 million just last year in our portfolio. And we know that that costs us a lot more in expenses to do so. It's actually up to 15 times more to do a booking through an OTA versus our direct channels. And it's going to cost over $1 billion last year alone. So we also talk about this next generation of traveler and how do they perceive us? Well, the reality is that preference is at risk. In fact, next generation traveler, they have an intent to recommend that's 24% lower than boomers, right? Really scary, especially when you look at this stat, which is that 45% of our reward members today signed up before they were 35. So think about our pipeline of guests into the future. And now is the time that we really need to engage and make change, just like Rob talked about, so that we can make sure that we're relevant to this consumer set. And on top of all of that, our competitors are moving quickly. You guys read it, right? You see stuff in the headlines all the time. Hilton, Starwood, they're moving quickly in the digital space. But what you might not hear about a lot is that our OTAs are also. And this is one thing that we have, is we have an opportunity to own the stay, right? The booking's pretty complicated, and we're also addressing that, but we have the opportunity to own the stay. Have you guys heard that Expedia is trying to put beacons in some of your hotels? Did you guys get Expedia contact anyone? They are. They're trying to put beacons on our hotels because they want to try to own the experience on property. So I won't have to tell you that's a really, really bad idea. So don't do that if Expedia calls you. because we want to make sure that that's one thing that we can hold, is that once those guests walk through our doors, we're going to own that relationship. We're going to own that experience. But we have to move quickly, otherwise our guests are going to go and they're going to drive these other competitors and OTAs to start owning that. And so all that is the doom and gloom. That all sounds really bad, right? Well, there's a lot of good out there, which is that we are taking action against all of that. If you look at it, we're modernizing and diversifying our brands. You see that today. This hotel is a fantastic hotel. What Marriott hotels are doing to make sure that the brands are current and up to date. We're also building a robust distribution strategy to make sure that guests know that if they come to us, they'll get the lowest price and they'll get the best experience. We're also innovating Marriott Rewards so that those reward members that are all signing up before they're 35, they're thinking about us and we're relevant to them in the way that they travel. And we're transforming meetings. And most of all, we're creating this mobile and digital customer experience that we think is really key to our strategy to make sure that we win for the future. So we know that travel is being disrupted by digital. It's everywhere, right? Our customers are changing, OTAs are growing, but we believe that what we want, our strategy, is to make sure that guests travel only thinking of travel being powered by Marriott Digital. And that's from the booking all the way through the stay, and really about personalization. And how do we pull that through to make sure that we're delivering experiences that are more valuable, have a deeper relationship because we know more about them, and we're interacting with them on their terms. And so if we start with win the booking, right? There's two sides to this strategy, win the booking and win the stay. So win the booking, we've been focused on this for the last 17 years. And we've been doing a pretty good job. In fact, Marriott.com now generates almost $13 billion for the forecast in 2013 or 15. And Marriott Mobile, and this was fascinating to me just coming into this space, that we did $1.8 billion in revenue off of Marriott Mobile. Expected to do $2.3 billion this year. Did you know that Marriott Mobile is actually the fourth largest revenue producing app in the world? Fourth largest revenue producing app in the world. I had no idea that we had that much reach. But when you look at it, we actually have today about 4.8 million downloads on Marriott Mobile, and we expect to have 5.8 by the end of this year. And you can see the growth. Back in 2011, it was basically nothing. So we expect that trajectory to continue. But probably the most exciting thing when you think about win the booking is how do we get to more personalized experiences before the guest arrives on property? How can we know more about you and be able to make sure that we're delivering exactly what you want? And so today, or yesterday I should say, we didn't know much about you. So what we were doing is we were pushing what we wanted you to know. We didn't know exactly where you were traveling, what you were doing, where you were staying, what your intent was. So we just kept pushing you what we wanted you to know. But that's changing. With new technology and new tools, now we know a lot more about you. And so what we have the ability to do now is to give that customer exactly what they want, when they want it, to be engaged with us, to then also book direct with us, engage with us directly, and have a deeper relationship. So from a win the booking standpoint, this is a massive win. I want to show you a video that tees this up a little bit. And when you watch this video, look at her actions and what she's doing, but then notice at the bottom of the screen how we know more about her so that we can tee up exactly what she needs. So all the tools are out there today to do that. We're building the back end and the messaging platform so that we can deliver that experience, so we can own that guest and make sure that we're presenting exactly what they need to know and thinking about us through all points within their journey before they even arrive. So huge, and win the booking is a big component. We don't want to give up on that, the trajectory that we've had there. We want to continue to keep focus on win the booking. But the true paradigm shift is when we get to win the stay, right? How do we make sure that we own the stay in a digital standpoint? And again, I'm going to keep talking about, as Rob said, that it's all about change. And what does that change mean for us as operators in our hotels? Well, let's look first at, it's really simple when you think about our strategy. And again, with this conference, we're about connecting the power of our past with the force of our future. Mobile experiences on property are not about removing the human element. Really important, I'll say it again. Mobile experiences on property are not about removing the human element. It's actually the opposite. What we want to do is we want to really combine that high tech, the way that guests want to interact with us, through their device with the high tech, and make sure that we connect that with the power of our past and the high touch to create a truly connected experience. That is what our guests are looking for, so they connect with us on their terms when they want to. It's amazing what we can do with service when we remove the clutter of the transaction, and we have that happen before anything else, so that now we can actually have a one-on-one relationship when the guest walks through our doors. And we're gonna do it with 3 pillars. The first is we're gonna do it to Marriott Reward members and Ritz-Carlton Reward members. Again, making sure that guests know if they come to us, if they build a relationship with us, they'll get a better experience because we know more about them. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're only gonna do the things that guests really love. Did anyone hear about Starwood launching a robot? It's real. Did anyone raise a hand here? Starwood launched a robot in the Aloft in Cupertino. Pretty cool, a really amazing PR stunt. I'll have to tell you, we actually put a press release out the same day. Really pissed us off because they got all the press and we didn't. But they were in one hotel with one robot. And I'm not really sure a guest really wants a robot. But what they do want is they want mobile check-in. They want to use their phone as a key. They want to be able to chat with us. Those are the things that we're going after, and we're going to do them everywhere. The other thing that we're going to do is we are going to do them flawlessly. We are going to execute. We're not about launching technology. We're about launching service through technology. That's what you all do every day in your jobs on property. You don't implement technology. You implement tools and resources so that the associates and the leaders within the hotel can deliver service. And that's what we're focused on. The good news is it appears that our competitors are focused on launching technology. But this is where you really come in, is how do we make sure that we can actually pull this through flawlessly? This is where it relies on us to make sure that we pull through the digital strategy. And so if we look at Win the Stay and the continuum throughout that delight period, we have started with check-in and check-out, and we're really all about driving adoption of that. Who used check-in, mobile check-in here at this hotel? I see a couple hands. Not many. Okay, let me ask another question. Who here has our mobile app? Marriott.com mobile app. Okay, much better. Next time, every one of you should be using mobile check-in. We'll talk about the success of that in a minute. But it really does add to your experience and to the hotel's execution. But you should take advantage of that so you know what it's all about. The other thing that we're doing is we're launching new features. Service request with chat. Huge differentiator. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we're also focused on the future and looking at what are the next things coming down the pike that we know that we need to continue to innovate and drive forward so that we stay relevant and ahead of our competition. So we're now live at 4,000 hotels with mobile check-in. Some people used to come up to me and say, you know, I'm not sure check-in is like, I'm not sure that's a great strategy. It seems a little underwhelming. I would agree. Mobile check-in isn't our strategy. Our strategy is what you just saw. Mobile check-in is a tactic within it to make sure that we have that foundation of our mobile platform in all of our hotels. And we're now live at just under 4,000 hotels, but we've had 1.7 million digital interactions. So we've had over 1.2 million check-ins alone. And what's amazing is when you look at it, and these are brand new numbers, hot off the press. Really fantastic is that we were at 2.8% with Marriott Hotels when we launched. Now we're at 10.4% of our Marriott Rewards members that are staying with us are using mobile check-in. That's really phenomenal. That growth over tripled in about 18 months. And we're seeing a huge growth even in this year. And that's not bad considering that Seafirst just launched 4 months ago. Also, when you look at our execution, we're doing a great job. Staff service with mobile check-in is at 86%. 3 out of 5 of our guests now have a higher impression of Marriott compared to the competitors. This is an important point because I said before, right, that Gen Y, 24% lower intent to recommend than the boomers. Now when we look at boomers and Gen Y in this survey, it's exactly flat. So we've completely raised up the Gen Y impression of Marriott just by offering mobile check-in. And at the properties, I know you guys would kill for a point, much less 2-point improvement in GSS. We're seeing a 2-point improvement in arrival experience for guests that use mobile versus guests that did not use mobile check-in. So huge, huge wins here with mobile check-in. I want to thank you all for everything that you all did, as Pat said, to really get this live in your hotels, but activated. Not just installed, but activated. So what is the next bold move? And we talked a little bit about it. It's really the power of chat, right? This true digital conversation of allowing a guest to communicate with us and have a two-way chat so that we can interact before they arrive or during their stay. We've actually been testing this in 15 hotels in the US, and we've had over 10,000 mobile requests, and guests love it. They love it about 7 to 10 points more than mobile check-in when we were testing it. They also, which is pretty amazing, is we found that 40% of guests that use this are doing it before they arrive. So these are all things we never would have known about that guest until they actually arrived on property. And they're also, their intent to use it again and to use it multiple times during their stay is also about 2 to 3 times, which means that they're fully engaged in this. So we believe that this is a massive differentiator for us as a brand. Our competitors are kind of working on something like this. They actually, what they do though, is they kind of throw it across the fence and they hope someone catches it, and then hopefully they deliver on it, right? So they're just sending requests over to the hotel. We're actually engaging and allowing guests to have this two-way interaction. So let me show you a little bit about what that means. So guests can go in there and they can do a pick list of items like you see on the left, and we're allowing them to chat with us, but the true benefit for us is making sure that we put this into existing systems that we have today in the operation and deliver through Guestware. So that means that we're putting Guestware in the hands of our guests now. It's like the phone, right? Guestware is becoming that critically important to our operation, and making sure that we have that culture in the hotel so that Guestware really is what we live and breathe within our operation. And so this is what it looks like in the app. So you have the ability to actually see it on your home screen. You can choose if you want towels. You then can tell us how many you want. You can even put in a little chat about it. And then you can track your requests, which guests really like, to be able to make sure that, that we deliver on their request and is it complete, and they can go back to it at any time. But here's the big one for us, is that Guestware is the enabler. We're going to put chat into Guestware. We're building it right now. This is going to go live in about 50 hotels around the world as an early adopter, and probably mid-May, that's going to launch in the hotels. And then we're going to go big bang with all Marriott hotels in the summer. And then in Q4, we'll launch all the other brands. So when you think about it, what is it, and again, I couldn't pass up having this group together, so I had to do a little bit of an ask, is that it really is about driving that culture of Guestware. So making sure that you follow up on any request that comes through on Guestware, prepare for the upgrade, but overall, everything it's driving the culture of guestware in the hotels, right? This is huge. We've been pushing this. My very first project that I started in global operations was to drive the hotel culture with 4.2. And so really, or 4.0, but it's really how do we make sure that guestware becomes a mission critical system in our operations. And so I'm asking you all to please go back, look at your operation, talk to your colleagues and your partners, and say, how can we make sure that guestware is core to how we do business and operate within our hotels? So what's next? So service request is our next big thing, but what else is out there? And so we know that we need to continue to innovate and test. So we're looking at things like mobile key, mobile food and beverage, and also an entirely new entertainment platform for our guest rooms. Let's first look at mobile food and beverage. So when we looked at the importance of this and why we needed to address this, we saw that, we know that $4.3 billion within our hotels is from food and beverage. We also, when we do some research, millennials believe they're all foodies, which is great because we can capitalize on that. But we also see that 60% of millennials say that in the next 5 years, everything's going to be done on mobile. We need to move into the mobile space. We also see that almost 80% of restaurants say that they're going to have a mobile app by the end of this year. So if we think about how do we stay relevant to the outside and within our discipline of food and beverage, this is really key to make sure that we don't fall behind the way that guests typically interact with food and beverage restaurants. And then if someone does have a mobile app, they're going to use it. Not only will they use it in general, but even higher, they'll use it to pre-order if we offer it within our hotels. And so we believe that the big core differentiator, again, for us, is taking what we've built with service request and the ability to chat and leverage that to also offer food and beverage. That's very different than what our competitors are doing. And you might see this out there, and you might get approached by a lot of vendors that say, hey, we can connect you directly into micros. But what they're doing is they're turning the guest into the server. What we're really after is how do we connect the guest with the server so that they can submit their order but still have the ability to chat. And because of what we're building with mobile requests, we have the ability to do that and leverage that. So I'll show you very briefly. I can't even say these are my sketches, but these either way are still early renditions of what we're looking at. Is again, you see the service request. So imagine food and beverage would be there. You can order a Guinness, which just happens to be my favorite, or anything else you'd like. And then you can chat, you can text, whether it's something specific or you have a question about one of the food items. And then you can track your order so we can confirm it and let you know when it's delivered, but we have the ability to connect back with you. And again, that human interaction and connection through digital continues to remain what we're focused on. So another capability that we're looking at is the ability to use your phone as a key. We know guests want more control of their stay. Mobile check-in is good, but again, that's not our strategy. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the guest has control over how they interact with us and how they travel staying at Marriott. And so how can they use their phone to get straight to the door? Well, we know guests want it. In fact, it's ranked #1 by business travelers and #2 by Gen X and Gen Y. We also know that our competitors are moving in this space. You probably saw that Starwood announced. They've actually been working on this for a while, but they did announce that they'll be complete in some of their smaller brands by the end of this year. And Hilton has reportedly said that they're going to do something, although we haven't seen it in market yet. What we do know is this is very, very complex. In fact, just in MH alone, there's over 32 different lock combinations that we know of, and that grows daily, that you guys understand over there, that we need to solve for. So unfortunately, every configuration from the board as well as the back end, how much space is there, to augment that is very, very complex. The other thing that we know is that it must work every time. Starwood is doing this. We've gone out and we've tested them probably about 5 or 6 times. And we have really bad experiences where someone is able to get into someone else's door, but not their own. Even though their app is tied to their rewards number and it has their room number on it. Won't let them in their door, but they could get into their colleague's door. This is the sort of stuff that we will not go out with. This is okay that we're not first. We think that there's an opportunity to be best in this space, but we're not driving to be first. We want to make sure if we go out, it's going to work every time and it's going to make sense for our guests and our hotels and our owners. It needs to be scalable and it needs to be cost effective. And so we're working on 3 different pillars. The first is new builds and new brands. There's a couple different ways to approach this, but we believe that we're going to go fast and easy first to make sure that our new brands and our new builds are set up with the right technology. So if you deal with a Moxy, a Red Domino out in Charlotte, or AC, we're specifying a specific lock model for those hotels to make sure that they have the capability when they open. For all new brands, for all new openings, we're saying that must be RFID. So now the standard has changed to RFID only, no more mag stripes. The other thing that we're doing is we're saying that SafeLock is a certified model, specific certified model, because we're going to work with them first. We're also going to work with Onity next and eventually Ving. But we know if you want to be a first mover in the space, that getting the right lock as early as you can is really important. The other thing we're going to do is, even though we have 32 lock types to figure out, we're going to make sure that we continue to address that. And so we're going to lead with Marriott Hotels, but we're testing right now with our vendors as well as another solution to say, how can we retrofit all of our existing locks within our core brands if there is an economical model to do that. So we're still working on that track as well. And then lastly, there's the idea of a key printer. So you can use your phone and you can get straight to your room, but you can also use your phone and go up to the lobby, and if, let's say you're in a Fairfield Inn that has relatively new locks, can't switch out their locks yet, but you could still get a physical key and skip the desk by going up to a key printer. We think this has great scalability in the C-First brands, but also has applicability in all of our other core brands to solve for all of these other use cases as well. I know when I travel, my kids love keys, so I have to get them keys. My wife probably isn't going to have the app like I do, so it's about making sure that we can solve all use cases, and we think this could be a big one. So we're focused on 3 different pillars here to bring Mobile Key to life, but what I need you to do is when you think about keys, and I know that there's going to be a lot of conversation later on in the conference too about what the future looks like. But when you think about keys and equipment within the hotels, just think about how does that integration, am I set up for integration with the future, and make sure that we're making the right decisions, both financial and strategic, so that we're setting up our hotels right for the future. Because we're not doing the owners any benefit if we buy the lowest cost, and then in a couple years, we find out that that solution is obsolete. So, is that enough? No, there's more. Like as Ms. Marriott says, success is never final. So we need to continue to stay ahead, and this last piece is another big opportunity. Because when you look at our entertainment platform, and you look at what we're all doing at home, they don't match. Our entertainment platforms are obsolete, they're unreliable, and they don't match what our guests or us do and how we live at home. So we think there's a huge opportunity to be first to market with this next generation of entertainment within our guest rooms. And it's about providing a differentiated experience by brand too. But more, it's about getting a platform in our hotels that helps us stay relevant and nimble so that we can adapt for the future. So, and it all leads up to the fact that a lot's changing in this space. You guys see this in your hotels today, but if we pull some reports, internet entertainment is actually the number 2 guest complaint in hotels. And we know that our consumer behavior is changing. Over half of the US consumers watch internet TV. And if you look at Netflix, this shows it, is that by 2014, last year, they had 50 million subscribers. In 3 years, they expect to be at 100 million subscribers. Does anyone have Netflix? I live by Netflix. I cut the cord. Anyone else cut the cord? Was it just me? Okay, I see a couple out there. So, I mean, I don't even have cable. All I have is Netflix and HBO Go. So it's the same. This behavior is changing, and how do we make sure that we don't disrupt our guests' behavior and lives by coming into our building and our hotels? So huge opportunity. And so we are building a new entertainment platform with our vendors, and we have 3 vendors that are approved now, and we're driving towards those 3 vendors. But it's about putting not only the usual that you see, but the one point that's not up here is also that internet TV capability. And so as we look to how to seize this opportunity, we're gonna lead with Marriott Hotels. We know that that core brand and that signature brand is really important to our portfolio, and we gotta keep feeding it with innovation. And we gotta make sure that we change the impression of our consumers that Marriott is relevant to this next generation traveler. And so we're gonna push really hard. We know that there's a huge opportunity within Marriott because of where the cycle is for contracts, but we're gonna lead with Marriott Hotels. There's also a new brand standard that was published that's in place by the end of 2016 that includes the new platform with the certified vendors as well as internet TV. But biggest is that we need to be able to scale and innovate. And with that comes the idea of connect my device and allowing guests to watch their own content off their phone and even project it up to the TV. So all of that are those core experiences that we've been talking about, but there's also some really cool stuff that we've been innovating in. So Apple Watch, anyone buy an Apple Watch? I'm asking a lot of questions here, but you did? Anyone else buy one? I thought this was a room of IT people, or half IT. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna come by your offices and see what it's like. So I don't have one, but I really, really want one of these. The other thing that you saw it in Arnie's video is that we are looking at Apple Pay, and we're gonna start testing that in markets in the US this year. So really innovative. We're pushing innovation, but we're not just doing it alone. We're doing it with your help. All of this, none of this we could do unless we had your partnership. So I want to thank you for that. The other thing we're doing is, unlike in the past when we used to be humble and shy, we're not shy anymore. We're going out really, really loud with marketing. I saw one of the Residence Inn video about mobile check-in on the plane as I was coming here. I see the Courtyard one all the time, and the Fairfield Inn and Suites one is like all over ESPN. So our brands are supporting mobile check-in and our digital strategy in all their paid media. But what's really exciting is what we're doing in buzz marketing. So there's this whole new marketing channel out there and this way of marketing through social and influencers. And so we're leveraging those. We've gone out with YouTube partnerships and leveraged key influencers to talk about mobile check-in. And by the way, they did some things that have nothing to do with mobile check-in. One guy, I don't know if you noticed it, but he was in a sausage factory. Another girl learned how to fly a helicopter in LA. I'm not sure that was legal, but luckily she didn't crash anything. But we went out with 5 YouTube partnerships to do just fun travel experiences and then talk about our brands at the end. In 2 weeks, we got over 500,000 views. These are views from consumers that would not normally come to us or we would not normally reach through traditional marketing channels. And we're doing another big one. Did anyone see this video? The new millionth mobile check-in? So we just had our 1 millionth mobile check-in. It was actually at LA Live, the JW out there. And we threw them a massive party. Totally surprised them, a lot of fun. But we gave them 1 million Marriott Word Points. And that kicked off a sweepstakes where you can earn 1 million points every month in 100,000 increments, but you can earn 1 million. We're going to give away 1 million points every month. And then at the end of the year, we'll have another grand prize, 1 million point winner. So we're going to give away 11 million points in the next 9 months. So this has exploded. In about a week and a half, we're approaching 1 million views on YouTube. The other thing that we're doing, and you got to do this, you got to go out and read the comments on this YouTube site. It is absolutely consumers and this next-gen traveler that wouldn't normally come to us. They're bantering, and there's all this conversation going on and this chatter. So it's really fun to see how we're engaging this millennial traveler in a completely new way through extensive marketing. The other thing, as I said, so we have the combination. We're really innovative. In fact, Forbes ranked us 18, right? 18th on the Forbes list for innovative companies. And we're being bold. We're not being shy anymore. And so those two things combined gets the exposure like this, which we would have never dreamed to be up on Apple's keynote speech, right? I mean, that's amazing when you see our brands up there with the likes of Nike and Apple and others that are really innovative in driving the experiences for the future. But what I want to show you now is how that win the stay, if you think about win the booking, and then you carry that through to win the stay, what does that look like? And what could this experience be all sewn together? So what do you think? If we do that, will we win? Yeah? Are we on the right track? Is that the right stuff? Is that the right experience? Does any of that seem pie in the sky? All of that stuff we're working on. All that stuff is going to come to life very, very soon. And so it really is about the future and thinking about how do we make sure that that when our guests stay with us, they can only imagine, well, going a little crazy here. When they stay with us, they can only imagine travel powered by digital with Marriott. Not with an OTA, not with Expedia, but think about us and our relationship and building that relationship so we can know more about them and we can deliver a much better experience with them. And so if you think about change, sometimes the best way to look at change for the future is to think about the past. So go back about 10 years ago. The hottest new device on the market was BlackBerry. I imagine you don't have BlackBerries anymore. Nokia was the world's largest cell phone company, manufacturer, right? Facebook didn't exist, YouTube didn't exist. And now if you look at, and Apple, by the way, was 1/40th the market cap of what it is today, as they were struggling to find the next best thing or the next big thing after the iPod. Now look at today. So you have Uber, the hottest transportation company. They own no cars. The world's largest retailer is Alibaba, serving China. And they own no inventory, right? And then Airbnb, close to us, they own no inventory. So if you think about where we're going and what has happened with history and what change is going to happen in the future, it's massive. But we should all feel fear. We should all feel excitement. We should all feel a ton of energy because we are changing Marriott for the future. It's incredible. But really, it's about you changing Marriott. You guys are the spear of Marriott's digital strategy. You're the ones who are going to bring it to life, not us at corporate. I used to be in hotels. I've crossed the dark side. I totally understand that you all are the ones that are going to bring this to life and make us win in this space. So I want to say thank you for that. So as we always used to say, mobile is coming, but it's not, it's here. So what's next? Well, a lot. And so welcome to the journey, and I thank you for driving Marriott's strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad O'Neill. Thank you very much.